I'm kind of famous for making messes in the kitchen, but that's okay, because usually it ends up in a really delicious product. Hey everyone, I'm Laura Klein, co-founder of OrganicAuthority.com, and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're gonna make blender chocolate mousse. I am a huge fan of chocolate mousse. This is one of the first desserts I learned to make as a kid that my mother taught me. I would literally stand on a high chair with her and I can remember her beating the whipped cream in the mixer, and I would just be standing there and watching, just waiting until I could taste the chocolate mousse at the end. She would layer the flavors. She added her favorite liquor, which was rum at the time, and tasting that as a kid would just like make my eyeballs pop. It was so delicious. Today we're gonna make it a little bit different. We're gonna make it non-dairy. My husband has a dairy sensitivity, and so we're gonna make it with coconut cream instead of traditional whipped cream, but it's just as delicious. The other thing we're gonna do that's a little bit different is we're not gonna melt the chocolate over bain-marie. Bain-marie is basically when you stand at the stove and you melt the chocolate over kind of like simmering water, and you stir and stir and stir. Today we're just gonna melt it in the blender, which is really cool because you don't have to stand there and to stir and stir and stir. So let's get started. Today I'm using bittersweet chocolate, and we're just gonna chop it fine. So you kind of have to use a little bit of muscle here. Wow, this chocolate is definitely kind of a little hard, and you wanna get it fine. The reason why you wanna get it fine is because the finer the chocolate, the easier it's gonna be to melt. So you just wanna run your knife through the chocolate, and you're gonna have to use a little bit of muscle. You could also alternately, if you have a food processor, you could probably just run the chocolate through the food processor as well, and you can get it, a really nice fine chop. I actually like working with the chocolate. I actually think it's really fun, and so I like to do it myself. So this is a total of 12 ounces of chocolate. In baking, it's really important to use a scale. I happen to know that, on the package of the chocolate that I bought, each of these bars is 2 ounces. I have a total of 6 bars for 12 ounces. This chocolate, I like to use bittersweet chocolate, which has a low sugar content. This is 76% cacao. And it's kind of fun working with chocolate. It gets a little bit messy, but that's part of the fun. And you can also smell the chocolate. It's like, ooh, kind of perks you up. Next up, we have 2 cans of coconut cream. I've got 1 can that's already open. What I do is I turn these cans upside down in the refrigerator. I mean, you can if you want to. The idea is that you want the coconut milk and the coconut water, or the coconut solids, the coconut cream, to actually separate. This one we already opened. The coconut water is on the top. We're gonna pour this off. And then you can see what you have in here. What you have left is the actual coconut cream. So we're just gonna scoop this out into the blender, or excuse me, the mixer. We're gonna be using the blender in a few minutes, but not quite yet. So we're gonna actually mix the coconut cream in the mixer because we want a lighter, kind of frothier texture. It's not gonna be quite as frothy as whipped cream, but it's still gonna be lighter.
Laura, why coconut cream and not coconut milk?
So coconut cream has a higher fat content than coconut milk. You could absolutely use coconut milk if you want to. I prefer the coconut cream because It has a richer flavor. It has more fat, and it's really delicious. The coconut flavor isn't overwhelming at all. It's actually really nice. Okay, so see this one, I've got the coconut water is on top again, so I'm just gonna pour it off. And then you've got the coconut cream in the rest of the can, because that's really what you want to do, is you want to make sure the coconut cream has separated from the water. That's the idea here. So you don't want to shake these when you put them in the refrigerator to chill. So I'm just going to scoop out the rest of the coconut cream here. My whisk actually fell off here, so I'm going to have to correct that, which is totally okay. Easy. And so I'm just going to continue to spoon this out. And you can see how like rich and creamy and white this is. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And it is delicious. Coconut cream and milk, it is a saturated fat, but it's a different type of saturated fat than you would say you would find in an animal fat. Definitely check it out. I am not a nutritionist, nor am I a doctor, so you should do your own research and find out if this is right for you. Okay, so we have it in our mixer. You just want to reserve the coconut water. You can use it for a smoothie. If you want to thin this out, you can thin it out. I add it to our smoothies in the morning. So we've got our coconut cream and our mixer, and we're just going to whip it 45 seconds to a minute. You don't want to over whip it because it's going to start to turn to butter. And I think we're just about good. I'm going to test it out. Yeah. That's delicious. That's really good coconut whipped cream. So we're just going to take this off. And you can put this in the refrigerator, and you just want to hold it until you take care of the chocolate. So if you have room in your refrigerator for this big bowl, you can do that, or you can move it into a smaller bowl like this. And so we're just gonna kind of scrape this into the bowl. So coconut cream and coconut milk obviously is not native to the United States. It's kind of a newer ingredient. It's really typical in like Southeast Asian cooking, Latin America, even South America. As America has become more kind of cognizant of eating more plant-based products and less animal products, ingredients like these have, made their way, started to make their way into our recipes, which is really nice. So if you want to make something like this, that's really more plant-based, and if you have a sensitivity to dairy, you can use coconut cream or coconut milk. I prefer coconut cream just because it has a richer, creamier flavor, and yes, it has more fat. Okay, so we're just gonna put this into the fridge. And next up, we're gonna heat, I've got a 1/4 cup of strong brewed coffee. I like espresso, so I'm gonna make espresso, and then I'm gonna add another 1/4 cup of amaretto. Amaretto isn't a requirement. I just happen to like it. You can use rum. That's what my mother used. I still love making it with rum to this day. I just happen to be in kind of like an amaretto mood. I love actually even drinking it over ice. It's really quite delicious. I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract to this. And we're gonna heat this up in a pan. We're just gonna bring it to a simmer, kind of like a boil, and then we're gonna turn off the heat, because we wanna heat it up. We're gonna use this to help melt the chocolate in the blender. I'm gonna use maple syrup and 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. What's also different about this recipe is it has way less sugar than traditional chocolate mousse recipes, which is really nice. I don't like things too sweet these days anymore. And 2 tablespoons of maple syrup does it. So we're gonna heat this up. Okay, so while that's heating, we're gonna start with the chocolate again. So we're gonna add our 12 ounces of chocolate to our blender. And you know, sometimes you gotta try the chocolate, which is really good. Yeah, if it spills over to the side, it's delicious. And I've got 4 eggs. And the reason why I have them in water is because I'm bringing them up to room temperature. So you want your eggs at room temperature. If you forget to take them out, just put them in room temperature water and that will take care of it. You just want to add your 4 eggs to the container. So I'm going to start this on low and then I'm going to turn it up to kind of like medium high. So what we're going to do is we want to start to build some heat to melt this chocolate. Okay, so while we're waiting for the coffee, the amaretto, the maple syrup, and the vanilla extract to come up to a simmer, we're gonna pull out our whipped cream. All right, so I'm gonna hold back. I'm gonna take out about 1/2 of a cup of whipped cream because we're gonna use this to garnish. All right. So I can hear our coffee amaretto mixture is indeed boiling. I don't want to let it boil too long because we don't want it to evaporate. I'm going to pour it in there so I don't burn myself. And then I'm going to we're just going to slowly pour the coffee mixture into the blender. I'm going to start it on low and then we're going to turn it up. And we're going to do it with the lid on. And this is going to melt the chocolate even more. And this is what you want. So I'm going to start to turn up the heat. So we're creating more friction to help melt the chocolate. All right, so we're going to check it. I still have some of that coffee amaretto mixture on top, so I'm gonna pour the rest of it in. I'm gonna scrape down the sides, make sure everything's kind of blending. I'm gonna add a few pinches of flaky sea salt. And we're gonna blend that one more time. Okay, so we're fully blended. It has a really nice mixture. You don't want any lumps. You just want it to be smooth. Okay, so we've got our coconut cream and we're gonna add this to the blender. I'm gonna add 1/2 of it first. And then we're gonna add the other 1/2. And you don't wanna overblend it because the more you blend coconut cream, the closer you're gonna get to coconut butter. I like to get all that I can in there because it's really darn good. It is delicious. And you kind of get it everywhere. We're also gonna add 2 teaspoons of espresso beans. I love crushed espresso beans. They add a little crunchy flavor to the finished product. So we're gonna add that. And again, we don't wanna overblend it. We just wanna mix it until it's combined. I think we're good. I think we're good. I'm just kind of checking the sides of the blender. And all right, we're gonna move this over just a bit, hopefully without making too much of a mess. I'm kind of famous for making messes in the kitchen, but that's okay, because usually it ends up in a really delicious product. And so choose your favorite serving dishes to pour this in. I have 2 small mason jars. Obviously, all of this is not going to fit into, you know, a small these 2 small mason jars. So I'm gonna grab a couple of other serving dishes. And then we're just gonna put these in the refrigerator at least 3 to 4 hours. And just do it, let them sit overnight, and you know it's set. So you can see, depending upon the size of the bowls that you're finishing these in, will dictate the number of servings that you're gonna get. Say you're having like a dinner party for 4 people and you've got 4 here, you could also just kind of put the rest into one larger jar that you can then just pull from. And by the way, I set aside some chocolate shavings. We can garnish when we serve, which makes it also look really pretty. And I also like to garnish with berries. This is really good with berries. You could make a raspberry coulis, you could like go all out, but I'm not even sure you need to do that. I think fresh raspberries are the way to go. Okay, so we're gonna put these in the refrigerator for 3 to 4 hours actually, and we're gonna let those set, and we'll come back. I've got these 2 guys that I made yesterday. These are already done. When you're serving, what I would recommend is you pull these out of the refrigerator at least 30 minutes before you're ready to eat. You could do it an hour. And so they're up to room temperature or close to room temperature, because you're gonna be able to taste more of the flavor of the chocolate mousse. And so remember, we held back about a half a cup of the coconut whipped cream, and we wanted to use it for a garnish. So we're just gonna add this on the side. You might be able to make it a little prettier than I am. I'm not a super big pro at this, but anyway, it does look pretty. We've got shavings of the chocolate that you can just kind of dust over your mousse when it looks so pretty. And then I love fresh berries. We talked about fresh berries earlier. And you can add just a few fresh berries. And that is it. This is your blender chocolate mousse. I love this. You can make it ahead. You can just pull it out like we just did. And quite frankly, it is delicious. Yep. Really, really good. I can taste the ground espresso beans in there. It adds a nice kind of texture to the flavor. I can taste the espresso. I can also taste the amaretto. I would actually like a little bit more amaretto. Next time I might add more amaretto. I like those layers of flavors. And the berries, oh my God. Yeah, berries are amazing. All right, you guys. So blender chocolate mousse, if you want to get the recipe, go to organicauthority.com, sign up for our newsletter, and remember to like and subscribe right here. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.